Okay, my friends, check this out. Remember I told you this, they're doing something funny with my numbers. Look, this I put up, it was 29 minutes ago. I put that up. And I have 10 hits, they say. And when I went to look at it, I have 2 likes and 10 hits in 29 minutes. Now, I know that's not, it's just not right. I understand that. But why does this happen? I don't know. Anyway, and it used to not happen, but it happens all the time now. Now, I just put this up, and they're showing that I put it up 30 minutes ago, and NASA's putting up about their Fermi fireplace. I'd like to see about that, because if you just watch this, I don't have much respect for anything with Fermi. Listen to this. This is Fermi's 14-year time lapse of the gamma ray sky orthographic projection. I'm going to watch this and take a look at it, because I don't even know if they know what a gamma ray is. I'm not kidding you, it's that bad. And a gamma ray is nothing more than half of a light particle. It's with the glowy parts stripped off. Let me show you. Okay, I know this is going to be hard to believe, but it is true. Light travels like this in a circle, spinning like that. But it does make a wave. So when it spins very slowly, it just sort of goes. You're way down here in the radial range. When it gets faster and faster and faster and faster, zzz, then it gets really sizzling up here in the gamma ray. Guess what? Once you hit the ultraviolet catastrophe, you don't have any more white particles. All you have is black particles. That's what X-rays and gamma rays are made of. Gamma rays are the really top-end sizzlers, and the X-rays are just a little lower, and then at the ultraviolet catastrophe, there's no more light left. It's gone. And so all you're getting hit with is the black particles. Let me explain to you. Hold on. Okay, so what is a gamma ray? Well, gamma rays, they're saying, are produced in many processes of particle physics. That's quite true. Typically, gamma rays are the products of neutral systems which decay through electromagnetic interactions. And that is also true. Okay, so this is the wavelength, which is real long when it's red and it's just barely spinning. And when it's in the green, it's a little faster like this. When it's in the blue, it gets like this. And when it gets out of the ultraviolet, way in the really end, it's like this. And what happens is all of the glowy particles are gone. All you have left is the really slammers, the black particles. And that's called the ultraviolet catastrophe right here. And then they turn into X-rays, and then even stronger than that are the gamma rays. I'll show you those particles actually happening. All right, let me show you something about gamma particles. They say gamma particles go right through everything, just go right through you. All right, here's the difference between what we did and what gamma particles are. Gamma particles are light that is so fast that the white particles are ripped off and all that continues on is the black. Well, we did it sort of the opposite way. We accelerated the light, absolutely. But at the Venturi, the black particles backed out because they can't get through the little tiny slit. This is a single slit, very, very finely tuned Venturi. So the black is just too big. It's a fixed particle, cannot get through. And that's what it's exactly what they say at all of the particle collider people. This is actually from Fermilab, and they say this is fixed, never changes size, and it's like a bowling ball. It can't do anything. It can't absorb. It can't emit. It can't reflect. This one gets big and gets small, and that is exactly what we found. That is the exact same particles. And we used light, and they used protons, but they were looking for the smallest particles. We started with almost the smallest particles. So now we have divided these particles right here. And it can't get through the Venturi. There's the Venturi, a little tiny slit right there. So the black backs off, but then they reattach right out here instantaneously almost. I mean, that's light. So what they did, though, was they accelerated the light so powerful and so fast that it exceeded the ultraviolet which ripped the electrons right out of it, and all you had left was the heavy-duty particles, and those are the killers, the X-rays and gamma rays. That's why they're so dangerous. All right, this is the ultraviolet catastrophe. Now, I'm not going to read you all the little details about it. All you have to know is that we're working in a visible light range. As I showed you before, you've got your red only goes a certain distance, and then your green goes a little further out, and then your blue goes way out and gets really hot, and then it drops off like a rocket, and then you're into your X-rays and your gamma rays. So that's what happens. It's called a catastrophe, and it just drops off like a cliff. And then after that, those dark particles are the killers, because there's nothing, they're just bowling balls at that point. All right, look at this. I could be wrong, but I might be right. They're talking about gamma rays, and this generator fired its 10,000th shot, and these are shooting out gamma rays from this enormous machine. And it says it produces a highly energetic beam that tests the capability of electronics to survive bursts of radiation, approximates the output of a nuclear explosion, all right, a nuclear weapon. The machine can accommodate targets that range in size from a single transistor to large vehicles. Now, so we have a nuclear explosion. That generates this catastrophe where the black particles come and destroy everything, which are the gamma radiation, which I'm talking about. And they are only the black particles. The white particles are a completely separate situation. And we actually separated them. Rod did in a test just not too long ago. All right, don't forget, that's that particle beam coming through here and creating the white showers. Now, in this case here, there is nothing but white coming through. So the black particles have to be hanging around over here just waiting to grab onto some of the white ones when they slow down enough. And they start slowing down quickly, and then they start grabbing into the black ones, and then they just turn into regular particles again like they were before. But in the interim, the black particles are completely separated from the white. So let's see another look at this and see if we can see the actual catastrophe looking at us right in the face. Now, they say the ultraviolet catastrophe. Well, I say if you can separate the black from the white, that's basically the catastrophe. And that's what happened here. The black is now pushing the white ahead of it. They look like they're separate particles to me, and the white is all gathered ahead of the black instead of being those little black and white back-to-back gluons. When they come through here, you see the really powerful amount of, but ahead of this wave, you got this. This is what's called a Whistler wave. It makes a sound. This is literally a nuclear explosion. Just like I said before, the first thing that comes out is the white, which always surrounds the black, and the black pushes the white. Out here, you have an audible sound. It makes a prrrt, and then a little while later, the black particles come and smash everything away. And I can show this, and I will right now. These two different things that happen is the Whistler wave comes first, and then you see a big brightness, and you see the Whistler wave, or you hear it, and then shortly after that, the black, which is a slower particle, bam, hits. But here, they're completely separate. Totally, completely separate. I think you can see that. You see that? So what happened here is it looks to me like some of the black was able to come through with some of the white. But it was also, they were both very accelerated and separated. It appears they separated, and sooner or later they're going to come back together. But out here is this Whistler wave, and when you hear it, all you do is hear it. It's in the frequency below light, which is audible, and this is in the light frequency. But this is only red light. This is not ultraviolet. Like you go into red is your low end, and then you go your green and your blue and ultraviolet, and then at that point, there's no more white left. All you got is the black. And it's being stripped away because of the speed of those particles. We're not really at high speed to speak of. It's higher than it should be, but I don't think it's what something like they're doing. These huge machines, that huge accelerator that we saw here. Look at the size of this thing. That's not quite what we're using. But they're creating these gamma rays. Now, a gamma ray to me is just separating the black from the white. It appears to me that's what's happening. Okay, this is Atom Central. They are going to shoot off an atomic bomb, and this house is just going to vaporize. I got it running really slow, and you'll see just nothing but a brilliant flash. You see it? And then everything just vaporizes. Nothing's moving. Look at the actually in the back here. Hold on. You see it back here? Let me turn the lights on. Sometimes that works better, sometimes not, but you can see how brilliant everything is, and it's just burning. That is that white leading edge. And there's no mass to it. There's no mass. It's not pushing anything at all. It's just infusing its massless electrons into this, vaporizing it. And they're the same electrons that flow through a car's batteries and make the tires and spin and the motors and all that stuff work. It's just electricity, basically. And it just, because you charge your car up, it doesn't add any weight to it whatsoever. But it could burn stuff just like this. Those batteries can burn things, just unbelievable amount of energy in them. And you can burn things very easily with a battery without losing any weight. It's just, it's full of charge. It weighs the same as when it's empty. These have no weight to them. That's why nothing is moving. Now the black is coming behind, and here it comes. All right, so again, I'm going real slow with this. And it's burning off almost all, there it goes. That's it, done. And then it'll turn around and come back, because there's a void back here now, apparently, because, I mean, it turns around and comes back, so that's all I can assume. Okay, this is from a video I did a couple of months ago, and this is going to be the Whistler wave. What you're going to see is, you're going to hear it go, counting down, and then you're going to see the brilliant come up, and then instantly you're going to hear, and that's the Whistler wave. Here it comes. Remember we heard that ba-ba-boom. Now listen to what happens after that. Oops, wait a minute. All right, get ready. Here's what you're going to see is a brilliant flash, and here, and then shortly afterwards, the wave will appear. Now again, this goes back to a video I did a few months ago, so I'm cutting into it. Here it goes. Listen. Did you hear that? You didn't see any nuclear blast yet. You can see it, but now it's coming at us. You see this? This is the dark particles coming at us. That wave coming across the desert. So we have not heard anything other than that. Now we're going to hear the blast. That's when the black hits. Remember before the house just burnt up? Well, first comes the Whistler wave, then the house burns, then the black hits. Let's look at that, the exact same progression in the light experiment. Exactly identical. Then burn, and then smang. Bam, boom, bam. All right, so you're sitting out here. This thing goes off, and you hear, that's all these things passing by you. And then the house is back here somewhere, and then the house just burns up like this. It doesn't move because these don't have, all they have is magnetic pushing. So all of these particles are only magnetic particles being pushed. Boop, 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 and they're being, but they're so slow compared to light that they're in the sound range. Because a higher pitch sound, once you get out of that pitch of the sound, you start getting into light. All it is vibration. There's nothing more than vibration. Tesla was right. Now, so we got the white burning up the house, burning the house, burning the house, and boom, then the house goes with the black. That's all. And that's this. Now, sooner or later, that black is going to come out and hit us, we're way out here. So it takes a long time to sweep across. But preceding the brilliant burning stuff is the sound. Then the brilliant burning stuff, and then the heavy-duty stuff knocks things down. And it all emanated from basically a subatomic nuclear bomb. All right, this is as simple as it gets. Wavelengths of light are the distance of the spin. Okay? The infrared range is outside the visible. We're up here in the visible. All right, and what happens is down here, it's way like this, but you can go up, 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 and just keep going and going and going. More and more energy creates more and more heat. Infrared, you know, with infrared, eventually you can burn the hell out of things, but it just keeps going up. Now, not so for visible light. Why? Why doesn't this just keep going up to blue? This is the catastrophe. It's at the very end, when you hit the ultraviolet, it drops right off. No more heat. However, that's when you get the damage. Gamma rays and X-rays. They don't create heat. They're literally a cold particle, but they're heavy as hell, and they will tear you up. That's why gamma and X-rays are killers. And we can look at this stuff. It doesn't hurt us. But once you get past that, you're nothing but heavy-duty particles that bang into you. The other ones, they bounce off you basically because they have that glowy particle, so it bounces. Once you get past that, no more bounce. It tears you up. All right, I think I showed you that we can accelerate light. If we are separating the white from the black, the white, as I showed you, burns things up. The black knocks things down. All we want is the white. And I think we can collect it. And if we could put it in a little shoebox like that and carry it around. Have any kind of power you want coming out of there. It's just regulation. If we can, and we could have thousands, literally, of these lasers. They are tiny, and some kind of a harvester device that collects the white particles. And there's so many of them that I would think we got some power here. It like I say, you fill your car up with energy. Electricity, it weighs exactly the same as when it was discharged. This has no weight. It's just as I showed you. Everything just burns up. It's got a hell of a lot of burn. No weight. It's exactly what we want. Is that what it comes through there? It's exactly this. And I don't see any reason we can't use that. And we're only working with light. So there's no big bits that can hurt you, basically. Unless you put your eyeball right there, you maybe get hurt. Yeah, obviously. But I don't expect you're going to do that. So I think this is absolutely worth a look at. You know, this goes back 8 years. It's very frustrating to have this, you know, to not have it looked at. I don't have the resources to do this. Rod has given up basically on this. I don't blame him. I don't know exactly what happened, but you know, it's up. He's just not, doesn't want to do it anymore, and he's the one that really did. He did all this work basically, almost all of this, not every bit of it, but damn near. And this was done by somebody else, Fabien Boulet. I believe he's over in France, and he did the green and the red at the same time, and the green literally pushed the red out of the way and reconcussed way out here. It's much, much more powerful than the red, and the blue is much more powerful than the green. You can't even see the green. Remember I showed you, maybe I didn't show you these. These are the green photons. You see them? And you can see them quite clearly. There's no question you can see those are the photons, just like the red ones. And here's the red ones. You see, there's the red photons. Very, very clear. And as they stack up on themselves, they gain mass, which is called neutrinos. The neutrinos are coming with different flavors. It's just different masses. And then at the end, they become photons. Now, look at the blue. The blue is a whole different story. This baby's sizzling. And this is right after it came out of Venturi. You can't even tell there's two white spots in there. It's just one, and then it starts to twist as it slows down. Drifts to the left, spins to the right. By the time it gets out here, you can see the two of them. Back here, you can't even tell. So, and then past that, the white would be stripped off, and all you would have is the blue. All right? So right here, you still got your particle. Now, this is reversed, because we came through real hot from a Venturi and slowing down. They would be slowed down and coming in, speeding up, and by the time they hit here, if they could go just a little more, that's it. There's no more white particle left. It's just black. And that's the gamma rays and X-rays, and the faster it goes at that speed, the more it damages you. And then, of course, there's the quantity of them hitting you at the same time. All right, just a couple last things. I don't know if I showed you this. This is how light spins. It spins going forward, just like I showed you. It spins like this. Sometimes it goes off that way. Sometimes it goes off this way. There's a whole ton of them coming at the same time. And they all converge in the center, and they get really hot in the center and push each other out to the sides. And that's why you get those interference patterns. They're repulsion patterns. They don't want to be next to each other. That's why they set up these little pathways. Let's see what else. Check this out. This is outrageous. Again, Rod did these, and he never tells me anything. He just sends them to me, and I have to try to figure them out, which was fabulous. You see the particle coming in? It's coming in this direction. And it's gaining energy, getting really bright, and then it smacks into whatever this is, and maybe a hair, or I don't know what. He did all kinds of crazy stuff. He was using sewing needles and nails and all kinds of things. But it appears to me that it was coming in here, gaining energy, and it's starting to glow these fields, and then bam, it hits this. You see these little sprays coming out of here? To me, it's obvious. It gained very much energy from back here, and then when it hit here, it just splattered the white particles out of there. Now, what this is made out of, I have no idea. None, zero. And again, we didn't communicate much. But he was just a fabulous resource. I just can't thank him enough. Rod was just the best. And you can see it's amazing when you start looking at things in their exactness, you know. Look at these are coming out. Anyway, that's it was just, he just did it by accident, and when I saw what he was posting online, it freaked me out, and I got a hold of him, and he just was the most gracious person I've ever met to do all this work. Nothing, absolutely no return whatsoever. And I think it hurt him, to be perfectly honest with you, because people, they don't treat you good when you start saying things that are outside their ability to understand, and it can have some serious consequences. But anyway, I'm going to let that go. Amazing. All right, this is so outrageous, I don't even know where to begin. This is the pulsed red laser, and this is one pulse, and that one is a leaving pulse. You're seeing the back of the light particles as it's going ahead of this one. There's a pulse. That's the leaving one. Now look at this one. He's got something going on here to restrict and make this into a Venturi. I don't know how he did this exactly. Again, he just sort of does it and sends me the pictures. Now, you can see the light is obviously spinning in this direction. You see it coming off here and off here and off here and off here, and it's actually spinning. Now, these are the light corpuscles. These are actually little light particles, and they're being crushed together. When they do, they have to, they jam into each other's fields, and that's what he's got going on here. Somehow he's got a little pincher device going on, and when they came out the other side, they're just fanning out like this, fanning like crazy, because he's not restricting just the white and keeping the black out. He's letting everything go through, but still pinching it. And when they come out the other side, they just go flying into these huge fans. But it's obviously spinning in this direction. And this is the field that was ahead of it. And that's something, this is just incredible, the detail. All right, one last thing to blow your mind. This is the black particle, and this is the white, and the white crusts around the black. When I was trying to contact Fermilab, I also contacted Fermilab and the Russians at the same time because of the Russians' experiment. And Don responded saying that I was crazy, basically. Here's what the Russians showed, exactly the black particle in the center and the white particle surrounding it in outer space in zero gravity in a vacuum chamber with charged particles. This is exactly what electron flood theory predicts. The black particles can move away from the white particles. Nobody else has any clue about this. Even the Russians, they had no clue. Here's what they said right here. During the experiment, we contacted the Earth guys who couldn't believe it either, and they still don't know what to make of it. One guy locked himself in his room for 3 weeks, freaking out, banging his head against the wall, I guess. But this is exactly what would happen. These are all dark particles. They couldn't care less about being on top of each other. Dark particles don't push, they don't shove, they don't emit, they don't attract. Well, they attract white. I don't know if they attract themselves. I don't necessarily think they do, but they might. But they definitely attract the white. There's no question about that. And they can glob together, obviously, in the center of things. And that's what creates black holes. And it is dark matter. And that is gravity as well. Everything is pulled to it because everything has the white and the black particles, almost everything there is. Now, our Earth must have more of this because it drags everything towards it, all of the white particles and all of the black particles. You drop something, it falls right to the ground most of the time. If it's hydrogen, it might go up in a balloon, but that's just a whole different story. Everything falls to the ground because of gravity. Nobody can explain gravity. This is gravity. There's more black particles inside of our Earth than there is white particles. So that means the white particles have a propensity to jump down into those black particles. Lightning, poof. Electricity, zip, right to ground. Static, zip, right to ground. Anything with electrons, right to ground. That's why they say ground everything. Make sure you ground it. Because if you're in between here and out here and there's a ton of electricity here, it's going to go right through you to get to the ground. That's what it is. It's as simple as that. You know, this brings back something else I'm going to tell you about. You know, I do the Mudfossils, and in about 2014, 2013, somewhere around there, I spoke with the Russians about their sinkholes in this, I can't remember, some peninsula they have there, that they were doing a lot of oil extraction and so forth, and they were getting these huge sinkholes because the tundra is melting. And before the pressure, the gases and oils and all that had enough pressure to keep the skin of the tundra supported. But once they started sucking out all of the juice, the tundra is on top. If it was solid ice, well, it wouldn't collapse, but they were just collapsing one right after the other. And the Russians didn't come to me. A Japanese guy got a hold of me and said the Russians want to know about sinkholes. Apparently they went to him. He said to me, he said, I think you know what you're talking about, talk to them. So I did. So that's why I talked to them about this. They didn't respond about this, but there's nothing they can do about their sinkholes. It's just going to happen. There's a ton of fluids they're missing from the surface. It's collapsing. And some of them are fiery, because once they go off, you can't hardly put them out. They're hydrocarbons. Those are natural gases and everything come out of their hydrocarbons. They're explosive. They call them fiery sinkholes. This is the one I talked to him about. These just gigantic sinkholes that started appearing overnight. And there was like 13 of them popped up very shortly thereafter. They're saying cash-strapped Russian scientists. I don't know what that's all about. But this was the Russian scientists setting out to study a gigantic crater appeared in Siberia last year. Now this is 2015. It was 2014. And they had to hitch a ride due to academic budget cuts, due to our modest budgets. What are they talking about budgets? I was talking about sinkholes. But that's the ones I was talking to him about. And I told him, he said, well, what can we do? Is there anything we can do? I said, no. Even if you start pumping oil, it's already at a point where they're going to collapse. They're missing all that fluid. And then you get these gas bubbles in there, and the gas bubbles are the methane bubbling up, and there's nothing to support the surface. It's getting weak, and pow! Look at it. It just laid right back like this. Yamini, that's what it was, Yamini Peninsula. And they were very nice. I talked to the guy, and he was, he could speak English fine. And I told him, and I don't know if he thought I was crazy or not, because I don't think I told him that they were, blood vessels and so forth. They were biological. I think I just told him that there's, it's going to collapse. There's nothing you can do. And the fluids in there are bodily fluids that have turned into volatiles, fossil fuels. And once they pump them out, there's nothing supporting. It's like having no foundation under your house, and you just go straight down. And especially now everything's thawing out, collapse city. All right, I'm going to leave it for here right now, but just showing that gigantic biology. This is Tyson, my good friend, Tyson's Mudfossil Adventures. And he's got a site out there. Look at this. This is a membrane. That's the top layer of the membrane. This is the bottom layer. That's how thick this membrane is. And I'm going to show you this very closely in the next video. But this is no question whatsoever. It's a bilipid membrane. And I can show you, like, even this spot here. Well, I'll just show you real quick and get you tuned up. Remember all these little ridges around each one of these. These were all glued together at one time, but they could float and they could move, and they were solid, basically. And then these were the areas that would allow things to go in and out through the membrane to service your body. And this is a little squirrely looking thing I'll show you. All right, you see there? This is Tyson's spot out there. And you see that little spot? That's one of these little blue jobbers. And the rest is this. And the thickness up here is like at least 6 feet or more between the bottom layer and the top layer. And this is a membrane. You hold that up in the light, you can see right through there very easily in a human being. But these are the things that allow these channels to go in and out and pick up things, and the proteins and all that. But all of these balls are glued together. All these little ridges, they were glued together so they could float around and do all that kind of stuff, but stayed together. Very intricate system. Okay, so as you see, nothing sits by itself. I go in and out of this and that, but that's just what life is. A little of this and a little of that. So, Merry Christmas. I'm sure I'm going to still be squirting these things out. There's so much to do. And I am working with Tyson right now on some other projects, and I'll be showing those as well. All right? Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon. I love you all. Bye.